Okay, can we start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
So, all of you turn off your mic, please. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in between, but please turn off your mic. So, today we will start with the first topic. This is a topic that we have discussed yesterday already, the syllabus. So, I have briefly mentioned about this. We need to discuss about what is modernity and what were the social changes in Europe, and that led to the context of emergence for sociology, and then we need to discuss about emergence of sociology. So this discussion, we are concerned about discussing about emergence of sociology, and for that we need to understand what is this. So any question if you take from the previous year papers, directly you will get question on emergence of sociology, and all will be connected to modernity. So how modernity and the associated changes or the associated development helped or became source or part of the emergence of sociology is what we are actually going to discuss today. Very simple topic. What all things that we discuss, exactly the same thing. That framework should be there in your mind, and you will reproduce exactly the same thing in your own language, or you can write exactly the same thing that we are discussing. It's a very simple answer, and it is well prepared also. If the question is asked, it's a must attend question, and you should do exactly the same way that we are going to discuss. So few questions you can see here. Modernity and emergence of sociology, it's actually a direct question. Otherwise you see impact of modernity and social changes on the emergence of sociology. It is again the similar question only, same only. So the thing is that from the syllabus what is given directly it will be asked. Okay, so simply they will ask you emergence of sociology, or they will ask you modernity and emergence of sociology, or they may give you a statement which is connected to modernity and they will ask you to discuss or comment or critically analyze, etc. Or you can see here how modernity and social changes in Europe led to the emergence of sociology. Okay, and now is the voice is breaking? Because when the video is there, sometimes there may be problems. So if the voice is breaking, I can turn off the video. If voice is clear and it's fine.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So now this also. Your mic is on. Please turn off your mic. Mahesh, your mic is on. Okay. So this is sociology. This is sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. So the statement is actually telling that sociology emerged in response to various challenges in terms of social changes which was posed in front of medieval Europe by modernity. So you need to discuss that. Again, it is the same only. Now this is slightly a different question. Recently it was asked. Sociology is preeminently the study of modern society. So when we talk about modern society, initially we discuss about modern society from medieval Europe based on modernity. So we start from there, and in this question we need to even add the contemporary examples also. So what is the current day modern society and what is the significance of sociology in the current society? All those things has to be incorporated here. So they have slightly deviated from the trend of asking you see direct straightforward question to this level of question. So here, even though this question is directly from the syllabus, directly related to emergence of sociology or related to the sociology as a subject, right? Sociology is preeminently the study of modern society, and you need to discuss. So in this question, apart from discussing modernity, social changes in medieval Europe, from there you start and then you discuss the all other developments. Okay, and you have to substantiate with the example. Even the contemporary developments in sociology also you need to add in this question. We will discuss this completely, and once we complete the syllabus you will be in a position to write a very good answer for this particular question. You will not face any problem in this. Okay, so but for this question, let me tell you, this single topic will not be enough for you. For answering this question, you will understand modernity, social changes, emergence and everything. So the first part you may be able to write, but if you need to get good mark for this particular question, we need to add a lot of contents that we are actually going to discuss from chapter 1 to chapter 10. All those topics like stratification, how we are studying stratification, the contribution of different thinkers, Okay, religion, what are the changes, secularization, religious revivalism, some concepts, all these are very easy only. Family, what are the changes in family, how sociology is relevant in the contemporary society, what are the changes sociology is studying, okay, how live-in relation, all these things are coming under sociology. Everything when we discuss, this answer will be complete. It's not that, fixed to what we are going to discuss today. So this is one of the examples that I'm giving you. This is a contemporary new type of questions. Recently they're asking this kind of question, but to answer this you need in-depth knowledge, and you should have a capacity to connect everything that we are going to discuss under the subject. Okay, so that's how that question need to be answered. Now here what I'll do is I'll give you a framework for answering this question, and you just need to fit into this framework your understanding. Firstly, we will try to understand in that way, and then we will try to make a write-up, and that write-up I used to dictate in the class exactly the same thing as I've given in the PDF here. So the framework is like this. When you answer this particular question, we are talking about modernity and social changes and emergence. So essentially in your answer, modernity should be there. Okay, and you need to explain what you mean by modernity, and you need to talk about the social changes which has been brought by modernity, and that set the context for the emergence of sociology, and sociology is actually emerged. Now even before we discuss about modernity, we have to discuss what was the time before modernity. Like we will discuss that in terms of dark ages. Okay, so when we discuss about dark ages, we will say European society before the age of enlightenment, or before 15th century. Before we talk about age of enlightenment, I'm going to discuss that. I'm expecting if you're not a fresher, you might have studied that already in world history, but the time period may vary within a different discipline, but you might have some idea, some of you at least, what is the age of enlightenment or Renaissance period, etc. So before the age of enlightenment or before 15th century, European society is characterized by agricultural feudal estate system, and church preach excessive reliance on religion, and the entire society is based on very orthodox religious and political view. So that period is what actually collectively called as dark ages. The society is based on totally agricultural feudal estate system, and the kings were engaged in wars to expand their territory, unmindful of the plight of the people. They are not thinking about the people, they are only interested in expanding their area, expanding their control. So that period is collectively called as dark ages. Now the question is related to modernity, social changes and emergence. So understand this, we are just mentioning in 1 or 2 lines, not beyond that. Maximum 30 words is what you need to use for explaining dark ages, because it is an evolutionary process, right? Evolution from that particular time to modern time. So we talk about dark ages, what was dark ages, and then Europe started witnessing a massive transformation in terms of scientific revolution, intellectual revolution and commercial revolution. So these 3 revolutions, for example, when we talk about commercial revolution, within this all this industrial revolutions etc will come. That is also part of scientific revolution. Industrial revolution, when we discuss about it, is all based on machines etc, right? So that is part of scientific revolution. At the same time, that is part of commercial revolution also. Now these 3 main revolutions, that is intellectual revolution and commercial revolution and the scientific revolution, we collectively call, or this entire period is known as Renaissance period. Renaissance period, or this is the age of enlightenment. Age of enlightenment. Okay, so age of enlightenment. So I hope you understood. So we basically need to talk about dark ages, and then we talk about age of enlightenment, and during this time there was an ideological project called modernity, and then we need to discuss about what is modernity. Modernity is an idea, modernity is an ideology. Okay, started thinking rationally, started thinking logically in different dimensions. So when we talk about modernity, it is having different, Nikhil, tell me.
Sir, what is intellectual revolution?
Intellectual revolution means people started explaining things in a more rational, logical, scientific way. The religious explanations etc were not considered important now. Everything is based on science and evidence and reason. More logical. So that is intellectual revolution. Then new methods are coming for undertaking social investigation. It is not just like what the church say or what the religion say or what the priests say. So people started thinking logically and based on reason, based on evidence, rather than explaining everything in terms of religion or supernatural force or God or anything.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we will discuss actually that I have to discuss under the contribution of Locke, Bentham, Rousseau, Montesquieu. All those have to be. There is no point in discussing that in sociology. We stick to the syllabus, and once we complete the syllabus, if some extra knowledge is required, we can do that later. But here, my objective is I stick to the syllabus so that we can complete it in time. So this is part of world history. I am expecting that you should be knowing something. If you're a fresher, you don't want to worry about that. Or when you discuss about your world history, you will have to cover it. Ethics also, you have to talk about these intellectual contributions. Okay. So that's what intellectual revolution. During this time only, this explanations, more recent explanation, more rational, more logical explanations you can see. So that's what Dark Ages, then Age of Enlightenment or Renaissance period. During this time, the new ideology that is related to modernity, and modernity is actually permeating through each and every aspect of social life. For example, there is a concept of political modernity. Political modernity means it includes democracy or representative form. Okay, and welfare of people, etc. is given importance. When we talked about Dark Ages, I have told you the kings were engaged in wars, unmindful of the plight of the people without thinking of the people. But here it is representative democracy. Okay, it is the representative system, and welfare of the people is more important. Again, if you see economic modernity is there, rational organization of production, okay, new accounting techniques, new factory system, all these you can see in the economic dimension. So political dimension, economic dimension. Then you can see intellectual dimension also in modernity. Everything is now going to be explained in terms of evidence and reason, rather than simply believing in some supernatural force or explaining things in terms of supernatural force. So that is intellectual revolution. And then one more dimension we can discuss here is the social dimension, like emergence of nuclear family, emergence of new education system, secularization. Okay, we will discuss what is secularism, what is secularization. Now, what is the difference between this ism and ization when we talk about secularism, secularization? Okay, so what is the difference? When we talk about secularism, it is an ideology. Secularization means it's a process. Same is the case with when we discuss about fundamentalism, communalism, etc. As a concept, when we talk about fundamentalism, for example, when we talk about fundamentalism, you might have an understanding that fundamentalism is considered as very bad, etc. That is because you have not learned this in sociology. In general studies point of view, as soon as you see the word fundamentalism, we will take it in a negative sense. Fundamentalism is actually, it is excessive belief on religion. You believe in your religion and you believe in infallibility of scriptures. Fundamentalism stresses on infallibility of scriptures in the matter of faith. You believe in religion, you excessively believe in religion, you strictly adhere to the religious doctrine. That's what fundamentalism. So if that is the case, then fundamentalism as such is not a problem. Can it be a problem? If you believe in your religion, if you believe in your religion excessively, is that going to be a problem for anyone? No, right? Then when it will become a problem, it will become a problem if you try to impose it on others. So that is what actually happening in Indian society, and in that context only we are discussing. So in sociology we discuss fundamentalism as a concept. That's what when we discuss about ism, a concept or idea, ization is the process. Similarly, when we talk about communalism, you see it as a problem. Actually, communalism means mobilizing masses on the basis of some tradition. And that tradition can be language, religion, region, it can be culture, it can be anything. So mobilizing masses on the basis of any social tradition by exploiting any social tradition is actually communalism. It is not necessarily religion. But in India, mobilization based on religion is what we take as communalism. So sociologically some concepts are different, and when we discuss about GS, everything you see, as soon as you see the word communalism, it is a problem, right? Fundamentalism also, revivalism also. Okay, so here we were talking about, so I hope this understood the modernity and the four dimensions of modernity: political, economic, social, and intellectual. Now, what I need to tell you is this is something which is considered as very highly desirable, because you see the society is coming from the very bad situation from dark ages and evolving through this stage, and you based on the concept of modernity, rational organization of production, liberal democracy, social changes, intellectual revolution, all these are highly desirable at that point of time. Okay, but what happened is, even though it was highly desirable and it was expected that it is going to solve a lot of problems in the society, and in fact it did also, it was considered as highly desirable and it is going to be enlighten the life of the masses, but it also came to be associated with large number of social problems. So that we need to discuss now. So that is what we have discussed about dark ages, we have discussed about age of enlightenment, we discussed about modernity. Now we discuss about the social changes. This is the most important part of this answer. Okay, so when we discuss about the social changes, firstly, when we discuss about this modernity, there was a process of industrialization. Okay, so this industrialization was not that smooth. It was not that smooth. It also came to be associated with large number of social problems. Now, industrialization was not that smooth. It came to be associated with large number of social problems. What are they? For example, when industrialization is there, the workers, okay, the workers work in inhuman working condition, very poor working condition, more time with less wages. So workers are exploited in the industries like anything. Secondly, because of this process, slums emerged around factories. So slums emerged. Okay, then because of industrialization, migration was there. So when the male population migrate, they also take their family. So this led to the emergence of nuclear family. Traditionally, you can see extended family or joint family, but when we discuss in paper 1, we discuss as extended family. You have to write as extended family. In paper 2, we will write as joint family, because joint family we understand in Indian context. In paper 1, we write extended family. Okay, so migration because of that nuclear family emerged. Now, if it was extended family, there was a lot of social control within family. Now, nuclear family, the control is actually less because no elder members are there. So you can see domestic violence is increasing. That led to instances of breakages, etc. So much of problems are there because of industrialization. So workers working in inhuman working condition, poor condition, pathetic situation, slums emerged, migration that led to nuclear family, okay, and domestic violences, etc. Now, all new types of crime emerged. New types of crime emerged, and altogether, because of industrialization, there was a new setup of poverty and deprivation. New kind of poverty and deprivation emerged. Okay, so these are the problems associated with industrialization. Now, apart from this, so I hope this is clear. There is no need to have any doubt here. Apart from this, some other concepts, like when we discuss about democracy. Okay, so here also there were some issues, like when we talk about democracy in some societies, like in UK, in England, that was a slow process. Establishment of democracy was gradual, but in societies like France, it is coming after French Revolution. It is preceded immediately after, it is preceded by a revolution. So what happened is, even though democracy was established, people have complete uncertainty about the success of democracy. So people are not sure what is actually going to happen, whether this is going to be successful or not. So there was a total uncertainty with respect to the success of democracy within the system. So industrialization was a problem. So that's the first one that we have discussed, and democracy was also a problem. Thirdly, a middle class emerged. Now, till then, the society was divided on the basis of upper class and lower class. So either haves or have-nots. There was no concept of middle class. But now, there is an emerging strong middle class. Now, the middle class aspirations are totally different than upper class and lower class. Maybe they are close to upper class in terms of aspirations, but their salaries won't match. But at the same time, middle class is totally different to these two. Okay, so there is a need to redefine the society was felt. Their aspirations also need to be accommodated within the existing socio-economic framework. So middle class as a category is emerging. So their aspirations are also supposed to be accommodated within the existing socio-economic framework. So there is a need to redefine the society was felt at this point of time because of the emergence of middle class. So all these developments, so what all things we have discussed now, I will summarize it again. So we talked about dark ages. Okay, so dark ages means before the age of enlightenment, or before 15th century European society was characterized by agricultural feudal estate system, where people have very much orthodox political and religious worldview, and the church preached excessive reliance on religion, and the kings were engaged in wars unmindful of the plight of the people. So this period is known as dark ages. And then after 15th century, Europe started witnessing a massive transformation in terms of scientific revolution, commercial revolution, and intellectual revolution. Okay, so collectively called as age of enlightenment or Renaissance period. Renaissance period. So this.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is the transition zone between Dark Ages and Renaissance period?
No, that transition, obviously it is an evolutionary process. We don't want to discuss, in fact, this transition, we don't want to focus too much on the transition. Obviously, slowly these developments will happen, slowly. Okay, all these are actually discussed here only. That is better. This as a single phase we need to discuss. No need to separate it as a transitional phase. In case if it is required, we will have to discuss under world history. That is not required at this point of time.
Okay.
Okay, for sociology that's not required actually for us. We just need to
So
see
we
the.
we first write the Dark Ages, then jumped directly to the
Yes, because this is more important for us. Even dark age is also not important. I just told you to write 1 or 2 line. So in that context, how can we write all those what is happening in between, even though it is only gradual development. All these development is gradual. So that is what actually happened.
Okay, got it.
Okay, yeah, tell me. Somebody else also.
Actually, how are we connecting this industrialization with this poverty and the people being deprived of?
Now see, because of industrialization, the salary system, wage system, etc. is coming. So automatically some are getting richer and richer, the others are getting poorer. So that automatically lead to inequality, that lead to poverty. Okay, those people who are working as the lower class, they are always under poverty, inequality is high. So when inequality is there, there is a deprivation. We are talking about relative deprivation here.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So here, age of enlightenment, and during this time we have discussed about modernity, and we need to also discuss about the 4 dimensions of modernity: the political dimension, economic dimension, social dimension, and the intellectual dimension. Okay, so once we done that, we have to say that modernity is something which is considered as highly desirable and is going to enlighten the life of the individual, but gradually it came to be associated with large number of social problems or social changes, you can say. Okay, and these changes happened at the level of industrialization. Industrialization was not that smooth. It came to be associated with large number of social problems. You can write workers working in inhuman working condition with very less wages, more time, they're exploited by the capitalist. 1 minute. Yeah, Sumit, tell me.
Sir, modernity leads to this revolution, or this revolution leads to modernity?
Now all these are actually happening together. Because of modernity only all these developments also happening, no? These are together. Modernity is an idea. Modernity means, when we talk about modernity, it's an ideological project. See, when we say modern, for example, when we talk about father of modern India, we talk about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right? So why, in what context we call him as father of modern India? He was the first person who started thinking logically, rationally, and he started questioning the existing structure, right? So when we talk about modernity or modern, it doesn't mean that Rajaram Mohan Roy was wearing all the Levi's jeans or all having modern gadgets or anything. He was the first person who started thinking rationally, logically. So modernity is actually an ideological project. It is having huge impact on different social aspect. Social aspect,
Yes.
economic aspect, political aspect, and intellectual aspect. All these together, all these are working together actually. It has to
Okay,
work
sir, but-
together. Okay. So industrialization was not that smooth. Poverty, deprivation, inequality was there. Nuclear families emerged. New types of crimes emerged. Okay. So altogether, the situation was not that great. Apart from that, we can also talk
Sir,
about. Yeah.
sir, did industrialization give rise to slavery also?
Yeah.
Or it was from before?
Yes. Slavery also. Even before that, also slavery was there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So democracy, we can say democracy, the problem with democracy is actually the societies like France, there was a problem because uncertainty about its success. People are not sure about its success because it was preceded by a revolution. So in societies like France, there was a total chaos or total turmoil about the success of democracy. You can also talk about middle class. The aspirations of the middle class need to be accommodated within the socio-economic framework. So there is a need to redefine the society was felt. You have to write exactly like this. There is a need to redefine the society was felt. So all these changes actually set the context for emergence of a new discipline. So some intellectuals started thinking of a discipline which could explain all those changes, provide solution, and also to predict future of the society. There were some existing bodies of knowledge like physics is there, chemistry is there, biology is there, but none of them can explain all those things. History cannot explain this, right? Political science cannot explain these changes. Philosophy cannot do that. So all these knowledge or all these bodies of knowledge was there, but still there is a need to define all these things. So you need to explain all these changes, provide solution, predict the future of society. So these three keywords also should be there in your answer. So intellectuals started like this only you have to write. I am giving exactly the framework. Intellectuals started thinking of a discipline which could explain all these changes. Firstly, provide the solution to the problems, predict what is going to happen in the future, predict the future course of the society. And few intellectuals, immediate context was present in France, right? Especially because of these issues, French Revolution, etc. So immediate context was present in France, and French intellectuals tried to solve this problem by conceptualizing a new discipline. For example, in the beginning of this person, Saint Simon, he even thought of a social physics, that is a science of society similar to natural science physics. Because these people in the beginning were so much connected and so much oriented towards science. Okay, they want to make something similar to science because there is a general tendency to follow the science at that time. So people only accept science, people only believe science. So the initial intellectuals started thinking of social physics, especially this Saint Simon. Social physics similar to natural science physics. So here social physics, that is nothing but the study of society, but how you study like physics. But later on, Auguste Comte, who coined the term sociology and also laid the basic foundation to the subject, and he is known as the father of sociology. So this is what actually happened. Now after discussing this, you also need to talk about some intellectual contribution within the emergence of sociology or towards the emergence of sociology. When we discuss about towards the end, you need to also talk about some intellectual contribution. So now what I will do is, this is a structure, this is a framework that you need to keep in your mind. I'll quickly go for it again. First we talk about dark ages, maybe in one or two sentences. Then you talk about Europe witnessed a massive transformation. That period you can talk about Age of Enlightenment or Renaissance period. You need to explain what is modernity. All the four dimensions of modernity, then the challenges of modernity, then the context for sociology. Talk about Saint Simon, he thought of social physics, and then Auguste Comte, who not only coined the term sociology but also laid the basic foundation to the subject. Okay, so now we will move to the PDF and we can see that, and in case if you have any doubt we can address it after that also. So, sociology is considered as a relatively young discipline when compared with other social sciences like history, philosophy, etc. Right? It is a very young discipline. It emerged in 1838 only. As a distinct discipline, sociology emerged as a body of knowledge to undertake systematic study of what people do in their daily life and how they explain their existence. So sociology emerged basically to explain what? This. Okay? So here, now what is specific about emergence of sociology is understanding of developments in medieval Europe which generated an immediate impulse to establish a separate discipline. So here, this is what we are more focused in. We are understanding the developments in medieval Europe, and that was the immediate impulse. What were the development? We have just seen. Medieval Europe underwent massive transformation in terms of scientific, commercial, and intellectual revolutions. These transformations gradually accumulated during 15th to 18th century and brought profound changes in the social conditions. These revolutions are collectively referred to as Age of Enlightenment or Renaissance period. So Renaissance period means intellectual revolution, commercial revolution, scientific revolution. You can fit industrial revolution anywhere. Industrial revolution can be part of commercial revolution. Industrial revolution can be part of scientific revolution also. Okay. European society before the Age of Enlightenment was based on agricultural feudal estate system. So here we are actually talking about dark ages. If you want, you can write it in the beginning also, like what we have discussed in that context. In that way also you can proceed, or like this also. The society was rooted in an orthodox religious and political worldview. The church preached excessive reliance on beliefs, and political aristocracy was engaged in wars, unmindful of the plight of the people. This period has been termed by historians as Dark Ages. So I hope this is clear for all of you. There is no need to have any doubt here. Then Europe started witnessing changes in terms of a great awakening in scientific, commercial, and intellectual spheres. This awakening was collectively symbolized through a new ideological project called Modernity. Modernity includes different dimensions permeating through each and every aspect of social life. In broader terms, it refers to a set of ideas which are guided by assumptions of science. So modernity means what? It is a set of idea and mainly guided by the assumptions of science. Okay, so these are the different dimensions of modernity as we have discussed. So when we talk about the economic dimension, rational organization of production, use of technology, rise of companies, expansion in trade. Intellectual modernity, here faith in science, logical inquiry based on evidence and reason. Then political modernity, change from authoritarian to representative form, that means democracy, and then emphasis on welfare of people. Social, emergence of industrial society, secularism, modern education, and nuclear families. So these are the four dimensions. Thus, modernity project was based on excessive reliance on scientific worldview. Broadly, the modernity project initiated macro changes. What are the macro changes? Macro changes is what I've discussed under that main headings like industrialization, democracy, and middle class, and also intellectual. Intellectual I will discuss towards the end. So industrialization, within that there are some micro changes. Macro means at the level of whole society. Micro means within, at the micro level, right, at the lower level. So macro, these are the macro changes. Within that, micro changes also we will have to discuss. Initiated macro changes in terms of emergence of industrial society. So we have discussed the problems of this. Liberal democracy, we have also discussed the problems of this. Rise of middle class, we discussed this. This we are yet to discuss. Towards the end we will discuss. Once we complete the modernity, we will discuss this. Okay, so this is these are the four macro changes, and this we need to explain further. We need to explain at the micro context. All these changes accumulated during the Renaissance period. These changes were understood as highly desirable and modernity is seen something which enlightens the life of an individual. But gradually, a number of new developments posed challenges before modernity and associated social changes. These developments could not be explained by the existing bodies of knowledge, and hence the context for sociology emerged. Now, what are these developments? Like what all things we have discussed. The process of industrialization was never smooth and came to be associated with a large number of social problems. The workers worked in poor condition, very less wages, and inhuman work conditions. The slums emerged around factories with poor housing and living conditions. Nuclear families emerged by migration. It started showing instances of domestic violence and even breakages. New types of crimes emerged, like pickpocketing and all. All these things led to new type of poverty and deprivation. So that is related to the.
Excuse me, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, industrialization leads to capitalism. Can you say that?
No. See, industrialism and capitalism. You see, byproduct you can say capitalism, but in socialism also industrialism is there, right? When we talk about socialism, even in the Marxian idea about socialism, that is totally different to what China and Russia is practicing. But industries are there in China and Russia. Yes, the so-called socialism, not the original socialism and communism that Marx talked about. So industrialism is a product. Okay, you can say in capitalism both are understood synonymously by some people, but both are not one and the same. Industrialism means what? It is a way of producing things by using machines, by using inanimate sources of energy. Capitalism is an ideology. Industrialism is the method of producing, like you using industries. That is what industrialism. It is not necessary that industrialism is always with capitalism. It can be in communism, it can be in socialism also. If the state is taking care of everything, and state can be like post-independence India also, towards you can see a mixed economy, more towards socialism. You can see nationalization of all this and PSUs, etc. All these are based on industrialization again. So it is not that industrialism and capitalism is the same. Maybe both are understood synonymously, because in case of capitalism, industrialism is essential. The simple difference is industrialism is the way you produce things. You use industries, you use machines, you use inanimate sources of energy for the production. It's a method of production. Capitalism, on the other hand, it is an ideology. Ideology which is based on unlimited accumulation of profit. Got it?
Okay, sir. But both leads to inequality.
Both are linked, yeah, obviously. No, both will not link to inequality, especially in capitalism only inequality will be there. In this industrialization, if it is in socialist society, inequality will not be there.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah. So then next is liberal democracy. It was associated with a lot of uncertainty about its success. In certain societies like England, the transition towards democracy was gradual, but in societies like France, it was preceded by a revolution, resulting in total chaos. Okay, the uncertainty associated with its success led to insecurity among people. The rise of middle class created a social divide in society which was never witnessed earlier. The aspirations of middle class could not be reconstituted within the existing socio-economic framework. A need for redefining society and its structure was felt. So are you in a position to write all the three? The problems related to industrialization, the problems with democracy, the problems with middle class, three are very simple. So this is the main part of this answer. Okay? And now what we need to say? Now what we need to say is all these changes, all these developments could not be explained with the existing bodies of knowledge. So we need a new discipline, right? So that is the context for sociology, and people like Saint Simon thought of social physics, but later Auguste Comte not only coined the term sociology but also laid the basic foundation for the subject. So all these developments could not be explained by the existing bodies of knowledge. The process of transition associated with modernity was full of challenges having ramifications for the whole society. The European society during 19th century was in a state of chaos, and the intellectuals started thinking of a new science which could explain these changes, provide solutions, and help in predicting the future course of society. Okay? The immediate context was present in France, which was facing a total political turmoil along with social disorder. The French intellectuals thus addressed this new problem by conceptualizing a new discipline. The establishment of sociology is associated with the works of famous French philosophers Saint Simon and Auguste Comte. Simon initially thought of a social physics, that is, a science of society on the line similar to natural science. See, the reason, the context I've already told you, the initial sociologists, initial thinkers, or all the intellectuals at that point of time, they had an inclination towards science because people only believe in science. To get that initial legitimacy, you need to claim that this is a science. Later on, Auguste Comte not only coined the term sociology but also laid the basic foundation of the discipline. And Auguste Comte is known as the father of sociology. So that's about the emergence. Now, for completing your answer, you also need to talk about some intellectual background. So let's discuss about that here. Thus, social change in Europe generated an impulse for conceptualization of a new discipline. So this created the impulse. But along with these social changes, the emerging intellectual context was also aided the process. See, if there was no intellectual context, then impulse alone will not be enough, right? Okay, so the intellectual context included a very well developed political history which provided a huge data about society, helped in generating a view of society. So this is one context, one intellectual advancement at that time. During this 19th century, new methods were devised for investigation which could be readily used in sociology. For example, survey method was used to study the state of poor during 19th century. 19th century, which established the possibility of scientific investigation in the social sphere. Darwin's theory of biological evolution provided an intellectual logic for studying the evolution of society. It also acted as initial perspective in sociology. Apart from this, general obsession for science during 19th century led intellectuals to positively think about scientific study of society. So this Darwin's theory of biological evolution, the impact of this you will see when we discuss about thinkers. We will see in the context of Marx also, one of the very famous and important theory that we need to study, that is historical materialism. He used this perspective. Even Emile Durkheim also, when we discuss, we will see in his theory of division of labor, he is using this perspective. Even to that matter, to that extent, Parson also using this perspective. We will discuss all these. So here I have given you a statement. If you put a question here, discuss, this is going to be a question. Okay, so the emergence of sociology is the result of complex interplay of number of factors and the condition for which emerged during medieval Europe. So what is the condition in medieval Europe? That is nothing but modernity. And what are the various factors? Those factors that we have discussed. Okay, so everything has played together. Along with that, intellectual contribution was also there. So that led to emergence of sociology. So well prepared, well structured answer. You don't want to alter this, but obviously you need to modify it because those around 400-500 plus words are there. You hardly need, if it is a long question, you need how many words? You need 250 words if it is a long question, if it is 20 marker. If it is short answer, you need 150 word maximum. So maybe you need to reduce it, not completely what all things written here, but whatever I have underlined, all those things has to be there. So I'm expecting that you will be in a position to answer all these questions. It is the same, it is very simple. Any doubts we can discuss now? The topic is over.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, there is a question. What sociology can show us about our action? Discuss the practical significance of sociology.
We are discussing about emergence of sociology. This is something which we need to discuss
Sir,
under.
it's in this part on. No, sir, it's in this part only. First papers, 2A question for 30 marks.
Which one?
It's in 2011.
No, where it is given?
Sir, it is in this लास्ट ईयर जो टॉपिक वाइज को प्रीवियस
Yeah, topic. This topic is not from emergence. This is actually from this social action you're talking about, right? What is the question? You're talking about
yes,
social
sir,
action.
sociology shows about our action.
Yes, our action. That means we are supposed to discuss this question under social action by Weber and Parson. So based on that only we can discuss, or at least in second chapter in the non-positivism when we discuss, we briefly mention about social action. There also we can discuss.
Yes, sir. So it's given here. That's why I asked.
No. That is by mistake. It has nothing to do with this particular topic.
Okay, sir. No, sir. There are 28 to 29 questions. All are covered. Only this one I don't get. So I asked.
No. That is by mistake. Even yeah, you can say it is connected to emergence and it is connected to sociology. But for this, you need to answer. You need to. Arey, yaar, turn off your mic. Those who are not speaking, Vinay.
Sorry, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. So once you complete social action, then only you will be in a position to answer this question.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. See, some of the questions you will see it's very dynamic. It's not necessarily direct, right? It may be from this particular topic, but if you need to answer that question, the entire syllabus might have to be completed, because this question is related to action. We have not discussed about any action here. Social action is a theory which you are supposed to study under Weber and also under Parson. Okay, we will do that. We will do
Yes, sir.
everything.
Yes, sir. Okay, all the questions are covered now.
Yeah. No, we will cover question by question. Every last 10 year I will cover towards the end. Don't
So
worry.
from this topic only 28 questions are there. So only this one left. That's why I
No,
asked.
every time they will ask question from this topic. Every year repeatedly the question will be asked and everything will be straight. Emergence only.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, society emerged in response to challenge posed before modernity in medieval Europe. Discuss how to
Society?
write for 10 marks in these things, because we know only 3 factors.
Tell me, can you repeat once again the question?
Society emerged in response to challenge posed before modernity.
Actually,
in medieval Europe.
I've told you when we discussed it is not society, it is sociology. You're talking about this question, right?
Oh, sorry, sir.
Sociology.
Fourth one, sir.
Yeah.
Fourth one,
Sociology
sir.
emerged
So,
in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe, right? So
Yes, sir.
here also, when we discuss about modernity and medieval Europe, again you follow the same structure. You have to start with. Hey, Sudesh. Sudesh, turn off your mic. So when we discuss about anything connected to emergence of sociology, first 1 or 2 lines you have to talk about dark ages. So then you come to modernity, then you talk about age of enlightenment. So sociology emerged in response to the challenges posed before modernity. So explain modernity, the 4 dimensions of modernity, then you talk about the major challenges. See, you are saying we have only 3 points, but that 3 points is much more than enough. You can talk about industrialization, you can talk about middle class, you can talk about democracy. And you know, one more thing that I will tell you, that once we proceed further, this is one of your chapter, industrialization. You will read more about that in mass. Middle class, again you will read more about that. Democracy is also a topic in your syllabus. So in case if you need to expand, you will get a lot of content to expand also, but that's not actually required. Whatever limited content that I have given to you, that is enough to answer this particular question. You hardly need 250 words. So whatever I
Sir,
have...
Sir, dimension of modernity, we have to write in a para or boxes as like you diagram.
If it is
We
10,
draw a diagram.
if it is 10 marker, make it in diagram directly, make it simple and don't waste your time. If it is 20 marker, write it in paragraph. Explain this. It all depends on the time and space that you are going to get. Based on that, you have to arrange.
Okay, sir.
We will discuss the way you need to approach the questions towards the end.
Excuse me, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, how Saint Simon explains social physics? I mean, what are all are the examples of it?
No, he didn't talk too much about that. There was no such scope at that time actually. It was just because his passion. He wanted to make it something similar to natural science. In that context only it was proposed, but he could not do anything with respect to that. So we don't want to discuss too much about that, and I have never seen any question which was asked on Saint Simon. We just need to say that the initial sociologists, they were more oriented, or they were more inclined, or they were more obsessed, because I've given you that statement just because in the future discussion when we discuss about, there is a topic positivist there, and also one more topic is there, sociology as science. So why that debate is there, you will get some clue from Simon. Only that context we use that person, otherwise not at all important in sociology. Maybe Auguste Comte we use time and again, but Saint Simon not necessary and not important. But it is just because, it just indicates, it just shows that their obsession towards science, especially natural science.
Okay.
Nothing significant, because if you claim that this is also similar to natural science, then only you will get that initial acceptance, or that initial legitimacy among the academicians and intellectuals. Forget about academicians and intellectuals, even among the common people also, if you need to get recognition, you have to say that it is science.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, could we add emergence of new intellectualism in the development points?
Yes. You need to add. I didn't get time over there. That's what I haven't discussed. But under modernity, we have briefly mentioned about that emergence of intellectualism.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Sometimes that alone can be a question. Discuss the emergence of sociology in the context of intellectuals, emergence of new intellectualism. That itself can be a question.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But if that you need to write, this content will not be enough. We will be discussing in the coming chapters a lot of intellectuals and a lot of thinkers. So from there, you will pick content and you will write it. So you don't want to worry at this point of time. You will see hardly, I know about Darwin we have seen, survey method we have seen, political history we have seen, Auguste Comte we have seen, and Saint Simon one line is there. With that, can we write the answer or not? It's a question. But obviously once we complete the syllabus, you will have a lot of intellectuals with you to write that answer. How sociology developed and how it is progressed, how it is matured, everything we will discuss. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, if 20 mark question, then we should have to write a commercial revolution, scientific revolution, or intellectual revolution in para or as a diagram.
That basically you don't want to explain that. You don't want to get into that too much. What is intellectual revolution? In sociology, that is not much required. In sociology, we are more concerned about change, social change and social structure. These explanation, even when we discuss about paper 2, we will talk about green revolution, for example. We are not at all concerned about what is green revolution, whether it is HYV seeds or irrigation or fertilizer or pesticides. We are not concerned about that. We are concerned about green revolution led to what? What all changes? What happened with the caste system? What happened with the family system? What happened with the migration? How it affected women? How it affected sex ratio? So that is where sociologists are concerned about. We are not concerned about what it is. Okay? So if you see in your syllabus itself, you will see social structure and change. But just for, yeah.
Sir, I just want to ask about the Saint Simon and Auguste Comte. What is the basic difference over the perspective of both the courses? I mean, Saint Simon was interested in reading the sociology as a social physics, and Auguste Comte was having the macro perspective to reading the society. So, sir, what else?
Actually, there was not much difference. There was not much difference. Even Auguste Comte is also talking about the same line, but he is not using the word physics. Only that is the difference. Both, in fact, Saint Simon and Auguste Comte, both were using macro perspective. Both were giving significance to society. Both were talking about positivist approach. Both were talking about science. Both were talking about universal laws. All these we will discuss under positivism.
Okay, sir.
Actually, both were same, but Saint Simon gave the name like social physics, which is not possible. Yeah. What else?
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, how the social relate to the modern one, sir?
Social?
Why the sociology has evolved, sir, to tackle dark age problems, sir, for a modern studies?
I'm not getting you. I didn't get your question. How sociology?
Why sociology has evolved, sir, to tackle the dark age problems or to study the modern society? Hello?
Yeah, tell me. Now I can hear.
Why the sociology has evolved, sir, to tackle the dark age issues or like
No. Okay.
how to study the modern society?
Just wait. You're asking me why sociology emerged?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To tackle
It is
the
no.
dark age problems,
It is not to tackle the dark age problem. Dark age problems are solved through intellectual, commercial, and scientific revolution or modernity. And modernity is something which is considered as highly desirable and enlightens the life of the people, because dark ages people are suffering. So that problem is expected to be solved because of all this. But modernity came to be associated with a large number of social problems. To study that problems, it is not to solve the problem or anything. Okay, it is basically to study the problems. It is to explain the changes, mainly to study the problems or the changes. Sociology emerged.
Then, sir, in the fifth question, sociology is preeminently the study of modern societies. So, in the modern societies, we don't have democracy problems like that kind of dark ages or certain.
Okay,
Why this?
but this is not. I told you, if you need to answer this question, you need to get a lot of maturity, and you have to show that character. That you will develop only after completing the syllabus. Even now, you have to understand that when we talk about preeminently the study of modern society, first you will talk about medieval Europe. Initially, that was a modern society, but at that time there was a problem with modernity. But then, in this question, that itself is not enough. You have to evolve, and you have to even discuss about the contemporary time. Even till yesterday, if it is possible, you have to discuss. So over a period of time, there are changes, and those changes are also accommodated in sociology. We will be discussing that in the coming sessions only. Once we complete the syllabus only, you can answer this. Even after completing the syllabus, with your view also has to be incorporated in this particular answer.
So, the sociology is nothing but the ideas which were proposed by the intellectuals or scientifics or like industrial revolutions. So these are only the ideas, like we'll read like a subject.
No. These are not just ideas proposed by anyone. Sociology is based on scientific study. It is based on evidence. It is based on reason. It is about studying a particular phenomena. But nowadays, the question is about sociology is studying the modern societies. See, sociology emerged itself for what? Studying this modern society, modernity. So from there you have to develop your answer, and that is medieval Europe. Then you have to develop your answer from there. You have to talk about all these ages and all these changes, what happened in the changes of family, and sociology is studying that. Okay, what happened with other aspects, sociology is studying that. What happened with inequality, stratification, industrial society, all these are accommodated.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Hello. Sir.
Muskan, 1 minute. Muskan, what happened? Muskan, what happened? This is a different batch. Okay, yeah, tell me.
Sir, how to count the words like